Alrighty, hello everybody. Now I don't write scripts generally. I think of something I want to convey and I go out there and go on here and try and put it into words, and sometimes it comes out eloquently and sometimes it doesn't. But today I want to just kind of, you know, put into words, and you try and do it over and over again when you're on the conservative side. And I think Reagan did it well. He really reached a lot of people who understood. And if you look at the economy after Reagan, well, he was right. Even Barack Obama, when he was running, oh, I'm like Reagan, you know. I mean, it's really not disputable that, you know, what he created through his policies was good. Good for raising America up. And lately, we've got this thing with Amazon pulling out of New York, and then AOC comes up and says, good, we stopped them, we stopped the corporate greed. And it just dawned on me that this was the perfect example of the differences and the example of what I need to accentuate why I'm gonna call it the Trump economy, but it was Reagan's economy. And I don't know if y'all realize it or not, but JFK had actually, I think it's JFK or FDR, JFK I believe, did a big tax reduction as well, and spurred on the economy and also collected more tax revenues into the Treasury. But the whole gist of it is, what you hear from the left is that it's unfair. Rich people are rich and poor people are poor. Disparity, yada, yada, yada. But forcing that in socialism doesn't work. And I've used examples like when I was in North Carolina running a mortgage office. There was a Wendy's around the street from the office, right around the corner. And this was, I don't think, 2003. There was a sign up in that store. It said, now hiring, starting pay $10.50, because that was George Bush and 43. And he had the, you know, before the mortgage meltdown, before the housing meltdown, there was like a 3.2% employment rate. And Wendy's had to pay that much to attract an employee. The market raised those prices. Now, my mother passed away, and I went back there, and that was, I think, I want to say 2014, 15. I know, it's sad, isn't it? I was actually, you know, back in Charlotte, North Carolina, and riding around. I was there for several days for her funeral, and I stopped in that Wendy's because it was nostalgia to me. I was hungry and I like Wendy's, and they had a sign up there that said, now hiring. It says during Barack Obama. I'm not saying Barack Obama's bad. I'm just pointing out differences in economics and policy. They had a sign up that says now hiring, starting at $9.75 an hour. Well, that many years later, it should have went up, not down. But the fact is, there was a high unemployment rate. They didn't have to offer as much to get employees. And, you know, the fast food joints always need help. They never have enough people. But, you know, if you look at the natural episode there of when the economy's doing good, employers have to attract employees. They have to offer things to do that, whether it be more money. And that's how health insurance basically got started, being carried by employers, as they had to offer it to try and get employees to come to work. When you try and force it, it never works, because then businesses are hurt more and they hire less people. You know, if you go in there and say, oh, you have to pay $15 an hour, look at the studies been going on in San Francisco and places where they've done it. A lot of restaurants and stuff was closed. So what you do is, okay, the people who are working get $15 an hour, less people work. And if you keep having the economies where you push that, then you get higher employment rates. And you look at France right now, 15% employment rate. You look over the past 4 or 5 years at all the riots that's taking place in this. I mean, people are rioting in the streets in France, burning cars and stuff. God, go into some of the policies and stuff they have. But the whole point is, people complain because the businesses make more money, but when they make more money because they're doing more business, to handle that business, they have to hire more people. When they don't make more money, they fire people because they don't need as many people to do the jobs, to produce. And you know, I mean, businesses are businesses. They have to stay afloat, and businesses are businesses. They follow proper business, you know, technique and say, hey, when we have X number of business, we need X number of employees to do it, and they hire and fire accordingly. Most of them don't sit there and say, oh, well, you know, we got extra money around, just hire extra people just to sit around and do nothing. You look at the same with AOC and the New York thing. Well, good, we stopped this greedy capitalism. Yeah, you also lost 25,000 jobs, you know, $4 billion a year in wages that would have been taxed at a decent level because they were high-paying jobs. You lost billions of dollars per year, billions of dollars of economic activity, and billions of dollars of taxes to the state. I'm not even going to the fact she didn't even understand that, because she was thinking that, you know, oh, we can use that tax money for something else. No, there is no taxes if they're not there, you dumb. So anyway, the whole point of the capitalism is that if you want to raise the poor, you have to do it by jobs. You have to do it in a way that is going to provide the vehicle for them to be raised up. Government's not that vehicle. You'll never gift somebody as much as they can earn. Welfare is just not going to pay as much as a job. If it does, something's wrong. It's supposed to be a safety net. And the whole point in what Republicans and conservatism, I'm not going to say Republicans, just because somebody says they're Republican don't mean they're a true conservative. And I think when you think about the economic conservatives, you know, a lot of the social issues come into some of the Republicanism. But to be a true conservative, you just want, to me, what conservatism means is taking the best policy to provide the best results. You know, if somebody says, hey, Democrats come up and say, hey, you know, if we can actually prove that doing school this way is better and kids learn better and they're more able and capable of functioning for themselves, but it costs a little more money, fine. But, you know, they, in my general stance, all they want to do is say, well, we just have to tax rich people, so we want to spend more money on schools. Well, you're not spending it in ways that's actually helping the kids. There's been several instances about lawsuits and stuff over the past 10 years about the way schools are running and trying to spend more money, but it's not helping the kids any. And you try and when the lawsuits were filed and trying to actually change it for the better, every time the liberals come out, you just hate children, you hate children, you're trying to take money away from children. Well, what you did make the scores and test results go down, not up. You need to change that. No, we're spending money. It means we can tax people. I mean, I just find that whole liberalism stupidity. Stupid. It's stupidity in motion. But, you know, on the same scale, Amazon, we got those evil, nasty, rich people out of here. Hey, you also lost a bunch of jobs and stuff. Well, that's kind of conservatism in the whole. You're not going to have any society where you're going to raise up the poor without the jobs and the vehicles to do it. And that way, to do that, the businesses and the rich are going to go up. If you think you're going to say, well, the business is going to go down or stay the same or raise poor people up, there's no mechanism for that to happen in business. You're losing your mind. Show me how that actually works. You change the minimum wage. San Francisco has an option at $15 an hour as an example. You start losing jobs. Therefore, sure, you got some people making more, but you have some people making nothing, and the average comes out to actually being less. you get less tax revenues, government, you get, less everything. Because when those people aren't working, they're draining on the system, not adding to the system. And again, we all come back to the Laffer curve. That's kind of the whole concept of the Laffer curve, and it works. It's been working since the days of ancient Greece. It was actually Aristotle or Socrates, one of those, came up with the same idea, that he proved it was the case even then, and it's still the case now. So if you really, if you honestly want to help the poor people, the way to do it is, and I, at some point, think a lot of changes would have to happen in the way we tax and pay for stuff and what we pay for. And I am a libertarian protectionist. I think we spend too much money on military because you can't just spend money that you don't have. And that's one of the biggest line items in our budget. We got to figure out a way to spend what we have and start paying off some of our debt. So, I think that maybe two-year college or higher education, or at least job training, if it's technical school, or say technical school, but trade school, should be part of our education system. And if you want to go to college and get an actual, liberal arts degree in whatever and be a teacher, or you want to go get a degree in something that helps you, perform a professional job, there's a limit to what we can pay for. But in the school system, I think there should be even something to the effect of certification classes. Hey, I'm a certified, quote unquote, or at least trained mason. I can lay brick. I'm a trained carpenter. I'm a trained machinist, and such like that. But to be able to pay for that, we need to rework everything, the way we spend money. It's ridiculous. But really, that's my whole point. You look at the whole Amazon thing, and it just points out the ridiculousness of the liberal case. It happened when Reagan lowered taxes, our economy took off and boom. Within how many ever years, there was twice as much money coming in the federal government. How do you cut the taxes that much and get twice as much revenue? It's just because the economy supported, more people were paying taxes. And, that's what you can't beat. And that's what you need to get to. It helps the economy. It gives the government more money so they can pay for whatever things you want to pay for. And more people are better off. You look since Trump has been in office and instituted his policies, well, quite frankly, 2 million people are out of poverty, 4 million people off food stamps. People's lives are better. And it increases when this economy goes up. The lower get increased to, a rising tide lifts all boats, yada, yada, yada. And, there's different ways to do stuff. But, but that general principle of lifting the boats, lifting the tide, definitely works. It's worked every time it's tried. Liberalism has failed every time it's tried. Capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any other system ever created. I just go on and on and on. But think about that whole system. Yeah, or if you're in New York City, or let's think about you thinking of that's your town, and they kicked 25,000 jobs out because somebody didn't like those greedy bastards and they're giving those jobs away. And that's the liberalism for you. So, if that's the way you vote and feel, well, I hope you enjoy it, especially if you live in New York and might have been one of those people getting a $140,000 a year job that now you don't get